first topic I wanted to discuss was the role of music and musicians after a tragedy. And Andrew, I know you were a featured guest on episode 55 a little over a year ago. But on March 2nd of this year, you were the last artist to play the Basement East, just like an hour or so before it was destroyed by a tornado. And I know also you've also produced some songs for people in need, including your mother who struggles with Alzheimer's, and also you are yourself you have recovered from a brain tumor in the past, which you were diagnosed in 2014, I believe. I just wanted to kind of start with you a little bit about, maybe first you can talk to us about any of those things, but maybe we can start with the tornado and maybe just recount that crazy night and then maybe the recovery efforts afterwards.
Early March 2nd. So it was the day before.
So March 1st was when you played?
I was at the Collective Soul.
Yeah, I played on Monday, and then the tornado, I guess, was just like, it was like 20 minutes into Super Tuesday, technically.
Yeah.
And so we played a show. It was like technically a get out the vote, gig for a candidate who did not win, so he didn't properly get out the vote, but it was a good show regardless. And we left. We actually went and walked and got pizza. Came back, and my house is maybe 2 miles away from the Basement East. And in the time that I was driving, I got the alert. I crossed over a bridge, and I saw the skies looking like lemon lime Gatorade, like yellow green.
Yeah.
And then got in my house right as the power blew and the tornado blew through about a block away from me.
Wow.
It's it wiped out apartment buildings in my neighborhood, but my house was okay. Apart from, I think we lost a shingle from our roof. I was quite lucky.
Yeah, it's just crazy. What it skipped over in East Nashville is so wild to me. It just destruction,
street to street.
You're fine, and then more destruction.
Well, where you and I met for the first time at High Garden Tea, it's just completely gone.
Yeah.
Burger Up.
Yeah.
Was destroyed.
You love Burger Up.
I love Burger Up. You do.
My wife went there today in Franklin.
Franklin.
Well, you're gonna leave
what a day tomorrow is going to be for you.
But you asked about the recovery effort. It was great. It was widespread, and it was back when everybody was comfortable to be outside and be together and help. And I remember I helped out a couple days in the recovery effort, and then I went to Knoxville to visit my wife, who was in graduate school in Knoxville at the time. I came back about a week later, and had about 2 days of going around my neighborhood and talking to local restaurants, basically saying, "I'm so glad you guys are open. I'm so glad you're okay." And they said, "I'm so glad you're okay." And we were hugging. And come the end of the weekend, we kind of realized, oh, we're not supposed to be hugging. This is not a new catastrophe is about to come in.
What was that like? Just experiencing a crazy, a tornado, right through your neighborhood, and then to just immediately shift within days to, what you said, not hugging and just having a plan for putting one tragedy behind and going to the next one.
Well, you'd asked about kind of the brain thing as well, and I don't want to make an answer, really long, but I think it all kind of, applies. So I'll explain about my brain tumor, quickly. So I had an acoustic neuroma, which, a neuroma is a nerve tumor, and acoustic is, where it was on my hearing nerve. So I had to get that taken out, via, a craniotomy. Was, in recovery for a long time, but it kept my hearing and kept my life, and, kept my life is a weird way of saying that. It saved my hearing in my life. But, what it also, it did was give me a new perspective on what it means to, hear music and make music and be relatively pain-free. And I don't think you can have that perspective unless it's almost got taken away from you.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I've got a lot more pride for Nashville and my neighborhood in particular. I walk around every day because, we're in a pandemic. We're not really getting out as much as we used to, so I need to get out and get exercise. And I walk by all of these apartments that have just been, kind of razed to the ground. But going through what we went through has strengthened my love for the place, because I'm reminded that it's not a guarantee, and we're lucky to, be there, and it gives you a better idea of what your neighborhood even is when it's almost, or when it is partially destroyed.
How long have you lived in Nashville?
9 years.
Yeah.
To do some math. I'm not good at math. 9 years.
You can count to 4 a whole bunch of times.
But 9 is more than 4.
What was destroyed?
Can't tell you how many more.
In Germantown? What was the main area that came through in Germantown?
all along Jefferson.
Yeah.
So like all the
All
large
the new
apartment
stuff.
complexes. Yeah.
Somehow all the old stuff was like, you can stay.
Once a lot of the apartment complexes like that look like they would fall apart.
Yeah,
if you
that's
sneezed
true
on them.
too.
Okay.
And they do. Now we know. Now
So,
we know they do.
so Nashville, obviously a music city. Tons of artists live here, both independent artists or people just trying to make it at the first start to all the way to all the top pop stars and things like that. So, how did like the musicians, or the music community, how did they come together? Are there any examples about how they came together, like after this tragedy, or any other types of things?
Lots of guys
in the past?
buying chainsaws.
That's
Like,
true. Sitting on
kids are-
Instagram with
yeah,
the
like,
chainsaws.
with the chainsaw. I have an Airbnb, and I didn't, to be honest, I didn't go down and cut down trees, but I offered up my Airbnb to people that needed a place. No one took me up on the offer, but that was my way of contributing.
Wow.
Well, yeah, but you were charging people double.
Jerk. No,
Capitalism, right?
Yeah.
Take advantage.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I got an Airbnb. How much you got?
Yeah, I saw a lot of posts of people like, "Can I borrow a chainsaw and go down there?" But I didn't want to be that rubberneck guy like that was driving in.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
figured, we watched it roll in from my front yard just because it just got weird outside, and we had the screens open, so we just had the fresh air, and then all of a sudden it was just like so oddly quiet, and I'm only less than a mile from downtown, like in our front yard, and just it just saw it so it looked so sinister. And then you start seeing everything start exploding, all the power
I
transformers.
saw the explosions too. I didn't know what that was.
Too, and we could see it just headed straight. I started like drafting text to like all my East Nashville friends, but like before I could even send it, it was already over there. It was so crazy.
I was at the Ryman Collective Soul was playing that night, and then we all went to the Tin Roof in Memory and Hill. And when a storm comes through Nashville, like
Yeah.
it's kind of exciting when a little storm comes in, and we didn't know that it was a tornado. So at first we're like, oh man, this is kind of cool, and we're watching it, and then we got the alerts, and then it was like, okay.
And you were 1,000 yards from like the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
first clue is it was the tin roof.
Yeah.
You wish it was like a concrete overpass.
Yeah.
Or something.
I will say, Tin Roof is built a lot better than a place called Tin Roof.
Tin Roof.
Tin Roof is screwed immediately. But Tin Roof can last a while.
But to answer your question, I saw two different kind of charity gigs. One of which was at what's that honky tonk that's like modeled to be like a vintage honky tonk way out of Madison.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
That place.
Yeah, you can like rent it out for like $50 or something.
Like that place, and then like there was a big one at Marathon with Jason Isbell and a lot of artists, and I think that was kind of like the last like large scale event in Nashville I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to go back to the tornado, I think something that was really fascinating because did live right kind of on the edge of Donaldson and Hermitage, and yes, the tornado obviously came through, Germantown and then East Nashville, but then it hit Donaldson, it hit Hermitage, it hit Mount Juliet really bad, it hit Lebanon. I went out and volunteered with the guys from the Animal Years one or 2 days after the tornado hit. I think the interesting thing about the Nashville community that I noticed is that it's something that I haven't really seen. Of course, I haven't really lived in a place where a natural disaster has hit before, but everybody, whether they were musicians or not, left their homes to help. Everybody was out, like the volunteer state, picking up and asking if people were okay, or opening up their homes to people. And it was just a really cool thing to see. And yeah, the events that Andrew talked about that went on with the musicians kind of pitching in and trying to raise money. I know a lot of other people have, independently put up GoFundMes and things like that as well. And as for tragedy in general, whether it's a tornado or anything else, like I've used some of that in my music with my family. I have a song that my uncle had a traumatic brain injury and wrote a song about that. And then had some fans that actually reached out to me and asked me to write a song about their son that passed away from cancer. And I think the biggest thing about the importance of music after any serious life event is the opening the door for connection and the kind of me too, like I've been there as well. I understand this, I feel it, and using it as an outlet, not only for you as the musician or the author, but also for the listener to kind of heal from those events and to relate to those things. So I think it's incredibly important.
Yeah, Yeah.
That was great.
Thank you.